Hey guys, it's me again, and it's been brought to my attention that not everybody knows how to get started in growing things. Now, there's a lot of people who say, oh, I'd love to eat better or healthier, but they just don't know where to get started. And that was brought to my attention yesterday. So I figured I would do a video on that while I'm checking all of my crops. Because I guess I never really thought about it. To me, it just kind of came natural because I was interested in growing things. So I started looking things up and figuring out what I wanted to grow. And first thing I did was just grow a plant, thinking, okay, well, let's see if I can grow something. And so I did. But then I successfully grew a plant, and that was cool, and I was excited about that. Oh, we got some moss. And so then next year I started a garden. Now, I grew all kinds of things. Whoever gave me seeds, I just grew whatever, and it did well. I had a couple of friends down the road that helped me with my garden and weeding things, and it was pretty cool. And I grew a lot of things that I didn't even eat or like to eat. And so I gave them away. Everything's going pretty good. We got a cool day here. But I just gave away a lot of what I grew because I didn't even like to eat it. So I was like, well, that's kind of silly. And then we relocated down here to eastern Tennessee. And I had to relearn how to grow things because the soil here is different from back home where I'm from. So it's been quite a challenge and very interesting to do. So, and with our restrictions where we live right now in a trailer park, they have a lot of different restrictions on you can't have anything in the ground that's not able to be moved. Nothing can be permanent. And so I started with buckets, a lot of buckets. And I've just evolved from there with more buckets and grow towers and things like that. But with that being said, the most important thing to get started is just basically, even if you just want to start eating healthier or cut your grocery bill in half or even a little bit, save a little bit of money. The most important thing that you should do is start growing things you like to eat. And you don't have to start with a lot of things. Like, if you've been watching my channel, you will see that I grow a lot of lettuce. That's one of the ways. I'm going to have to cut this one short too because we're going to get rained on again. This week it's been some wacky weather. But one of the big things has been that I eat a lot of lettuce. I like to eat salads. And that's kind of helped me lose some of the weight that I've gained in the past. And so, that's only one thing that contributes to my size and my weight now. But that's where I started, was eating healthier. Didn't even really know what was healthy or wasn't healthy. But the most important thing that I learned is grow things that you like to eat. So I'm just assessing the yard real quick because we've had quite a bit of water. So I'll show you my lettuce because I like to eat lettuce. So find out what is something that you enjoy eating, whether it be lettuce or whether it be green beans, carrots, corn, what have you. Here's just a few of my leafy lettuce, and this is a curly leaf lettuce. And if we go, that one's not doing so good. I just transplanted it yesterday. It'll take a little bit. But you can see these are all lettuce. And this is These have only been growing for a couple of weeks, but I mean, I like to eat lettuce. Another thing that I like to eat is onions. So that's another thing that I've enjoyed eating. And we're gonna have to go inside so I can finish this because we're getting rained on. Had to come inside, we were getting rained on. So I like to eat a lot of lettuce. So that's one of the most important things that I grow a lot of. But figure out what it is you like to eat, and then go to the store, and you can go to any store. I mean, a lot of people like tomatoes or cucumbers. Now there are some things that are a little bit more difficult to grow. So, you know, it might take you a couple times to try it. But go to the store and get you a package of seeds. It's going to be a lot cheaper to get a package of seeds than it will be to actually get something that is already started. They call those seedlings if they're already started. But that's what you do. You go get a package of seeds, get you some garden soil, and a pot. You read the package. The back of the package will tell you how deep to plant your seed. You dampen your soil, you put your seed in there, and then you just keep it damp. You know, you don't want to drown it, and you don't want it to dry out. So it's definitely a experiment, and you might not succeed the first time you do it, and I didn't either, so don't feel bad. I still have seeds that haven't popped up and shown themselves, and some of them probably aren't going to, especially now that we're getting all this rain. But it's a learning curve. The next thing that you want to do is you want to figure out, okay, what it is you're growing. For instance, tomatoes. Okay, a lot of people like tomatoes, so we'll go with that. Tomatoes are a very good start. Tomatoes produce a lot of tomatoes. One seed will give you quite a few tomatoes. So you read your package, and then you go to your go online, and there are different sites. I just usually use the Google, and it'll send me to a site, and you put in ask Google, what is my first frost date or my last frost date? Like right now we're in the spring season, so you want to know your first frost date. And for me, like right now, I've got so many things planted and started. That was because I started planting them before my last frost date. The last frost date is the last day of the winter or fall that you're going to have frost or snow, cold weather, because you want to know what temperatures you need to be growing the seed that you have. Each seed is different. I have a lot of different YouTube channels that I watch and I follow, and I've learned a lot from them. And I've also done a lot of research, and let's see, what else can I tell you? So you find out what your first and last frost date is. For somebody, like right now is spring for us. So for a tomato is a hot weather crop. So for me, my tomatoes are not started yet. There are some seeds that I have started. I have not started a lot of seeds because it's not warm enough here. But you also have to know, like in Eastern Tennessee, our seasons are a lot different from back home in Illinois. So with that, like back home in Illinois, they still can't start some of their crops because it's not warm enough. And for like a tomato is a very hot weather season seed. So it needs heat in order to start growing as a seed. A lot of people use heat mats and all this other stuff. I haven't even bothered doing any of that yet. Haven't even tried it, but I also don't have the space for it. So you want to wait, you want to look it up and see when is your last frost date for a tomato. So whenever your last frost date is, that's the last day of your frost. And then it'll start getting warm. Then you look on your package of seeds and it'll tell you how many weeks or so forth after your last frost date. It usually specifies, each seed is different, like I said. But for tomatoes, it's after your last frost date. So you find out how far after your last frost date you would grow a tomato. Then you put your soil into the pot. Make sure it's moistened. Go back to some of my other videos and it'll show you how to prepare the soil. You don't want it soppy wet and muddy or clumpy like a dough. You don't want it like a bread dough. You want it crumbly like a brownie mix. You don't want it so dry that you blow it and there's dust everywhere. That's too dry. So then you get your soil into your pot. You read the directions on the back of the package. It'll tell you how deep to plant your seed. You put that, you know, poke a hole, and you don't put a big hole, especially for a tomato. Tomato seeds are extremely small. So most of them that I have say 1/4 of an inch. So I just kind of make a little indent in the soil, kind of like when you check bread. You squeeze bread, and if it poofs back up, you know it's fresh bread. So that's the ones you want. You don't want to squeeze bread and then it stays squishy. That means it's not so fresh. But you just make a small indent in the soil, put your seed on the soil in that dent, cover it up, dampen it off a little bit, you know, put a little bit of water on it so that it's nice and moist. Most seeds don't start if they're not wet, but not drown them. And then you just keep an eye on it. You know, when you're checking your soil, like I don't know if I can use this pot because this is a different kind of soil, but let's see. This pot here is a dead plant, but you can see the soil and it's very dry. So you're going to put your finger down in that soil to the first or second knuckle. If it's dry or you can't get your finger in the soil because it's so dry, then it needs to be wet. You need to water it. And that's how you know. If you put your finger in the soil and it comes back and you got soil on your finger, then it probably doesn't need to be watered. Watering is a very tricky thing, and any videos that you watch or any information you read on growing things, they're going to tell you watering is a hit or miss, and it's something that you have to check and learn on your own. For the pure fact that if you're growing in the house, your temperatures in the house are going to be different from your temperatures outside, depending on the seasons, or if you have heat running or air conditioning running, or, you know, again, the seasons. Right now we're in spring down here in Tennessee, and we get a lot of rain. So I don't have to water many of my crops very often at all because we're getting a lot of rain. There again, we're getting so much rain that I also have to watch it to make sure they don't drown. If you see, some of my pots are actually on plastic, and that way I can move the pots so that the bottom of the pot doesn't sit in water. The towers actually have drains on them, so all the water will run through, so that way they're not holding too much water as well. Those are just a couple of pointers. So those are things to take into consideration. So I'm gonna end this video because I got a couple of other things to do, and my pressure cooker for my bones, chicken bones, has just went off. So as soon as it cools down, I will be taking those out, and then I have to air fry them so that they dry, and then I'll crush them up into dust, and that's also called bone meal. I crush up all the bones, and I use the bones in my soil. I use the bones in soups and stuff like that. The dust is kind of like okay, it's a chicken bone, so it's kind of like a chicken broth or a chicken stock. If you take those dusty bones, then you can mix them in with some hot water and heat it up, and it'll still give you some of the nutrients and the flavor of the chicken bone, or of the chicken. So and I only know all these things because I've looked up a lot of things. I do a lot of research. I watch so many YouTube channels. I can't keep up with them half the time. But, you know, just do a lot of research. If you have any questions or concerns, or you have tips or ideas, or maybe I missed something, leave them in the comments. Leave all your questions and stuff in the comments. I am learning how to keep track of my comments now, so I'll be able to see them and get back to you as soon as possible. With that being said, I hope that you have a wonderful day. Remember, you are someone, you do matter. I love you, and I'll see you on the next video. Until then, ciao now.